People often believe they have time. Time to forgive. Time to say what matters. Time to live the life they keep postponing. Daniel believed that too. Every morning, he woke up at the same hour, followed the same routine, drank his coffee while staring out the window without really seeing anything. Life happened around him, but not inside him. He was always waiting for later. Later, when work would slow down. Later, when things felt safer. Later, when he felt ready. Later never came. On an ordinary evening, Daniel missed his train by less than a minute. The doors closed right in front of him. Frustrated, he sighed and sat down on a cold metal bench, checking his phone, annoyed at the delay. He didn't notice the old man sitting beside him until the man spoke. "You look like someone who's in a hurry to go nowhere," the old man said calmly. Daniel frowned. "Excuse me." The man smiled, not apologetically, but knowingly. His eyes were clear, alert, unsettlingly alive for someone with silver hair and trembling hands. "You missed your train," the man continued. "But you haven't missed your life yet. That's rarer." Daniel laughed softly. "You don't know anything about my life." The man nodded. "That's true. But I know about time." Daniel wanted to dismiss him, but something in the man's voice kept him still. "I spent most of my life-saving moments for later," the man said. "Turns out, later is very impatient." Daniel glanced at his watch. "I don't usually talk to strangers." "Good," the man replied. "Then this will be memorable." They sat in silence for a moment. Trains came and went. "What would you do," the man asked, "if you knew you had only 1 year left?" Daniel shrugged. "I don't know. Travel, maybe. Quit my job." The man shook his head. "Those are plans." "I asked about living." Daniel didn't answer. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The old man's words followed him, echoing in the quiet of his apartment. The next morning, he did something small but unusual. He took a different route to work. He noticed the sky. He noticed people's faces. It felt strange, like waking up in a life he had been absent from. Days passed. Then weeks. One afternoon, Daniel received a call from his sister. Their father had collapsed. Heart attack. No warning. By the time Daniel arrived at the hospital, it was already over. Standing in that sterile hallway, Daniel felt time collapse. All the later conversations. All the postponed visits. Gone. At the funeral, he remembered the old man's words. Later is impatient. Something inside him broke, not loudly, but completely. Daniel began changing, not dramatically, but honestly. He called people he hadn't spoken to in years. He said things he used to swallow. He stopped waiting for perfect conditions. He took long walks without destinations. He listened instead of planning his replies. One evening, months later, he returned to the train station at the same hour. The same bench. The same place. The old man wasn't there. Daniel felt a strange disappointment, and then a quiet gratitude. He realized something then. That encounter hadn't been about the old man. It had been about interruption. A pause in the routine. A moment that asked him to wake up. A year passed. Daniel's life didn't become perfect. He still struggled. He still feared. But he lived differently. He no longer measured life by achievements, but by presence. By laughter that wasn't rushed. By conversations that mattered. By sunsets he actually watched. One evening, while waiting for a train, Daniel noticed a young woman pacing nervously nearby, clearly upset. She missed her train too. "You look like someone who's in a hurry to go nowhere," Daniel said gently. She looked at him, confused. And in that moment, Daniel smiled, because he understood. Life doesn't warn you when a moment will be the last. It doesn't announce meaning. It simply moves forward, whether you are awake or not. And the truth is simple, even if it's uncomfortable. Life has no price. Only moments. And every second you delay living disappears forever. Daniel always believed he had time. Not because he was careless, but because life quietly taught him that tomorrow was guaranteed. Every day looked similar enough to feel endless. The same alarm, the same streets, the same thoughts looping in his head. He postponed phone calls. Delayed apologies. Saved feelings for a future version of himself who would supposedly be braver, calmer, more ready. He lived carefully. Too carefully. That evening, when he missed his train by less than a minute, anger rose in him like a childish protest. He stood there, staring at the closed doors, feeling offended by the unfairness of something so small. He sat down hard on a metal bench, checking his phone, calculating how much time this delay would steal from his evening. That's when the old man spoke. "You look like someone who's running out of time but doesn't know it yet." Daniel stiffened. "Excuse me." The man's voice wasn't rude. It was quiet. Certain. His hand shook slightly, but his eyes were sharp, painfully alive. "I've seen that look," the man continued. "People wear it when they think life is waiting for them." Daniel scoffed. "You don't know anything about my life." The old man smiled, not offended. "No. But I know regret. And I know how fast a normal day can turn into the last ordinary one you'll ever have." Daniel wanted to leave, but the words landed too close to something he avoided. "What do you want?" Daniel asked. "Nothing," the man replied. "I just missed my last train years ago." That night, Daniel lay awake staring at the ceiling, his chest tight for reasons he couldn't name. The next morning, he ignored the alarm and sat on the edge of his bed longer than usual, feeling an unfamiliar heaviness. It wasn't sadness. It was awareness. Weeks later, his phone rang in the middle of the workday. His sister's voice was shaking. Their father had collapsed. No pain, no warning. Just gone. Daniel drove to the hospital in silence, gripping the steering wheel until his hands hurt. In the hallway, surrounded by fluorescent lights and strangers' whispers, time betrayed him. There would be no conversation. No forgiveness. No chance to say, "I'll call you later." Later had arrived without him. At the funeral, Daniel stood frozen, listening to people describe his father in past tense. He realized something unbearable. The man he loved most had died believing his son was always too busy. That realization followed him home and sat beside him in the dark. After that, time felt different. Dangerous. Sharp. Daniel began calling people he had avoided. Some answered. Some didn't. Some conversations healed something. Others reopened wounds he deserved to feel. He stopped choosing comfort over honesty. He said, "I miss you." He said I was wrong. He said I'm scared. Life didn't become easier. But it became real. A year later, Daniel returned to the same train station. Same bench. Same hour. The old man was gone. And Daniel finally understood. That meeting had never been about advice. It was a warning disguised as a delay. As he boarded the train, he looked around at people staring at their phones, rushing, waiting for later. His chest tightened, not with fear, but responsibility. Because once you see time clearly, you can't unsee it. Life doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't slow down for fear or hesitation. It takes what you don't use. And one day, all that's left are the moments you didn't postpone. Daniel stood on the train platform long after the crowd thinned out. The bench was empty. The air felt colder than it should have. For the first time since his father's death, he allowed himself to think the thought he had been avoiding. What if I learned this too late? He had changed, yes. He had opened himself, spoken honestly, stopped delaying life. But change didn't bring people back. It didn't reopen closed doors. It didn't rewind time. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from a number he didn't recognize. "This is the hospital. You were listed as an emergency contact for Mr. Henry Collins." Daniel's heart dropped. The old man. He arrived too late. They told him the man had collapsed quietly on a bench at the train station earlier that evening. No identification. Just a small notebook in his coat pocket. Inside, a single line was written, repeated on several pages, as if the hand had grown weaker with time. If someone listens, it wasn't wasted. Daniel sat alone in the hospital corridor, staring at the floor. He realized then that the man had never been waiting for a train.